I'm Lyle Spieshart, and I'm actually a fourth-generation farmer. In my early career, I was on the faculty at Oregon State University and worked for the Extension Service, so I was the outreach arm of education from the university, working with 4-H kids, so this really fits right in with my earlier career. And in 1984, my father passed away kind of young, and it was up to one of us to come back and run the farm, or the farm would go away. And so I made the hard decision as a tenured faculty member to give up my position and come back to the farm. And even though I love that career, I have no regrets. It's been really wonderful.
Hi, so I'm Charlene Murdoch, and my husband and I have a nonprofit called Foodways at Nanacardoon. And I'm a member, I've been a longtime member of Slow Food. Slow Food International is based in Rome, Italy. And the premise of Slow Food is let's look at our food, let's appreciate it, let's gather it, let's forage it, let's buy it from a farmer, let's pay that farmer a fair price, and then let's cook it and enjoy it together.
And early on, we were pretty much into all the commodity crops, the grass seed, wheat, clover seed, red clover, crimson clover, and it worked well. It made a good living, paid the bills. However, with our urban development, it became harder to do because of conflicts, and the urban people are not as familiar with what we're doing or why we're doing it. And so over the last few years, I met Charlene and her husband Richard, who were into this, raise the food across the fence and sell it across the fence. And she wanted me to start this many years ago, and I just, it's a new learning curve and everything, so I stayed with what I was doing. However, with the urban development, I just became more convinced we need a relationship with the urban people, and vice versa. They need to understand what we were doing and why we were doing it. When we created dust, it wasn't to irritate them, it was to raise our crop, and we didn't know what the alternative to that was. So 3 years ago, we launched the first experimental crops of red Fife wheat and Valley rye. And then last year, we added purple Karma barley to that, because I'm convinced we have a great product, and it's healthier for us, it tastes better. Economically, it keeps all the money within our community. It's not going, most of my commodities went around the world to China, someplace else, they were gone. If every time I did something on the farm I was successful, it'd probably be okay, but that's really not the case. In school, it's the same way. We can't always catch everything right off the bat. And I know that for me, going through school, I was not one of the students that learned well sitting in a row. It worked better for me if I could be actively involved in it and understand how it all worked. And in high school, I actually had my VOAG teacher, vocational agriculture teacher, was able to make the connections of my interest with the kinds of things I needed to learn to make that work. Successful farmers have to be pretty sharp nowadays. They have to be able to know their chemistry, they have to know their math, they have to know their business relationships. They also have to be more social, because we have a lot of interaction with our urban neighbors. We're standing in our 2019 crop, which is red Fife wheat. This was planted middle part of October. Harvested probably sometime in July. The houses behind me, I used to farm those fields back there, and they just keep creeping out. So that's the whole reason for this, local grains to serve the people on their dinner tables right behind me. I believe we're losing the bulk of our land to the point where it's going to be harder to continue to farm. So we need help from everybody, the urban people, the kids in school, everyone, to help, if they believe in it, to provide that balance of local agriculture with urban, with forestry, and with all of our development. One of the ways to do it is to sell across the fence. You see behind me there's a fence between the farm and the urban area. And it's a cliche, but selling over the fence makes a lot of sense, because it's going to be safer, fresher. I mean, there's very little downside to not do that. I don't know how many of you know this, but 4-H, the 4-H youth program, was started when the land-grant universities were trying to get farmers to raise new hybrid corns. It was actually hybrid corn they were trying to raise, and the farmers were reluctant to do it, so they gave all the kids seed. The kids went home, planted the seed, and the farmers saw what it was doing, and that's how the farmers adopted some of these new varieties.
The bread we're cutting is this beautiful rye bread. And this rye bread is made from the rye that's from right out here, and water and salt and what we call levain, which is a natural sourdough. It's bacteria and yeast that are healthy for us that makes the bread rise.